All right, welcome back, everybody, to the MMA Mobsters. Another week of conquest for both of us, of course. And the show is, as always, brought to you by cellsaviors.org, diamine.com, and grapplersclash.com. And also, Josh, by demand, is going back into the Punchface VIP world and offering his services for a fee because, well, it's worth money. Josh, you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, it's obviously been fun getting the band back together with Militech and Lee, and there's been some increased demand for me to sell my betting picks again. It's something that I'm cautious about because there's a lot of bad actors out in that space. There's a lot of straight up scammers who will give half their subscribers one side of the pick and then half the subscribers the other side of the pick. So at least half of them win. And that's it. I don't do any trash like that, and that's why I've kind of dabbled in it but stayed away from it. But we're gonna hit it full speed. Punchface VIP is gonna be back in your lives. Clint Wood, I see you out there. Sniper Kitty, I see you out there. Dobby, NASCAR legend, I see you back out there. So we're gonna get the group back together, and then we're going to do some pretty good advertising for it and try to build that subscriber base up. And so Punchface VIP coming to you by next week. The goal is to have it online for the UFC Freedom Fights at the White House. So yeah, I mean, I hope that you've had a good deal of success following my betting picks and then Pat's incredible analysis that works so well together. And so I'll be giving not only my UFC picks, but my picks for NBA, MLB, football, college football, and everything in between. So Punchface VIP coming to you soon, and we're very excited.
Beautiful. Josh will be a busy man and helping people out a little bit there, to say the least. So last week, let's talk about last week. I think we did pretty good.
We did.
I know Lee did fairly well based on some underdog picks and a few other things that we threw out there. I think, at least personally, I think I hit on 11 of 13 of the fights, which is pretty good ratio. I think you're right around that as well, of course, maybe 12 of 13, something like that. But we're staying in the 80 to 85% range pretty steadily,
Sure.
which is pretty decent. And a lot of our picks go against the math. Many times we're picking the underdogs, and we're actually hitting pretty well high percentages on the underdog picks, which is great, right, Josh?
You know, speaking of that, Pat, how about you do a little victory lap on Alonzo Menningfield, sir? That was an underdog pick that we both agreed on. And you know my tendency to bet a little safer and pay my mortgage and keep the lights turned on here. But that was an underdog pick, plus 220, that you and I both loved. He clipped him in the first round. I mean, just dominated. Talk about what made you love Alonzo Menningfield, even though the sports books didn't.
I think there was just quite a few. I think he was just too good of an athlete. I think the numbers told me, in terms of his strength standing up compared to his opponent, was very lopsided, even though his opponent, I think, had the edge potentially in the ground game, maybe not substantial. I didn't see how the math made sense anyway in the odds. And so it made sense mathematically where, again, I'm not a seasoned professional gambler. That's not what I do. I look at fights and analyze the skill sets of each athlete and say, I don't know why this guy's the favorite. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to go the other way. That's just, those categories that I look at, right? And so your mathematical mind and understanding both the athletes pretty well obviously went that direction as well. So when both of us agree on something like that, usually there's a pretty high likelihood we're going to hit.
Yeah, and I think I agree with all that. For me, it was I went against the line movement, which I rarely do. But for me, it was I saw Zin Yang as massively overrated in that his biggest win by far was beating up a kind of decrepit on one leg, literally and figuratively, Anthony Smith. And that was kind of a gimme fight, kind of a layup, and didn't impress me at all. And in fact, I thought he should have dominated Anthony Smith more. So that gave me pause because Alonzo Menningfield's been there and done it under the bright lights. He's been the hammer. He's been the nail. And these UFC veterans, man, they keep on showing up and showing that they're not quite dead yet.
Yeah, the quality of opponents definitely shown through in that one for certain. And so, okay, let's go into news a little bit. You want to talk about the UFC, the White House show and everything coming up, the bread and circuses?
Yeah, I do. And then I think, I'll give a quick kind of preview. We're only a week away, and then I know you have some things to get off your chest, and so I will back off and give you the mic for that. I'm excited, man. They're doing a good job promoting it. Paramount's obviously got a lot riding on it. It's got to be weird having UFC on a Sunday night. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure the last time I watched UFC on a Sunday night was Derek Lewis versus Travis Brown back in like 2017. So it's going to be weird Sunday night. They don't like to compete with NFL and NASCAR. There's a lot of crossover of those fan bases, but
Sure.
we're doing it Sunday night. I mean, it's going to be outside, and you fought outside. I know that you can speak to that. Are we worried about rain? I think rain's the only thing that would really cancel it. I think with heat, listen, you know better than anyone, fighting in Brazil, you're indoors, but it's 102 degrees. So the heat so much doesn't bother me. They talk about bugs flying in people's eyes. I mean, can you speak to that? I know you have in the past about fighting outside. Do you think it would maybe damage the legendary status of maybe Alex Pereira loses, but oh my God, he slipped on some sweat or a bug flew in his eye? Does that diminish this card at all? Does it concern you at all fighting outside?
I don't think, no, it doesn't bother me at all for the athletes because they're fighting on canvas. They're not fighting on vinyl, where the lower level shows that, where a lot of us got our start, back in the day, it was a vinyl tarp so that they could reuse it every show. The UFC's budget's so massive that, of course, they can use a different canvas, that's designed, they've got them already loaded and manufactured for the next probably 20 shows, to be honest with you. So those canvas are always replaced, because of blood stains and all that sort of stuff. But the main thing is the traction on the canvas is really good, even when it's wet. Generally, it's a lot better, of course. So there's no worry about that. The only thing that I would worry about, I guess, would, as we know, the Wicked Witch from the West does melt in the rain. And so there's going to be a lot of those folks in the crowd from that bloodline, and they might actually start steaming and melt while watching the fight. So we just,
That was good, Pat. I love how you lure me in with this very serious talk, and then you zing me at the end, and I'm sure our viewers do too. On a more serious note, Pat, and I know that you're ready to talk about this, and I think it should be talked about, and you have my full blessing to go and say whatever is on your mind. Not that you need it. Apparently, free speech isn't free anymore because we're seeing some very vocal supporters of Trump. I would say probably the three biggest vocal UFC names out there, Sean Strickland, Bryce Mitchell, and Colby Covington, aren't going to be at this event. They have been banned or whatever. Is it kind of concerning to you that politics seem to be getting a little too political here?
I would say this is that as a slave of the 1871 14th Amendment corporate United States, nobody has the rights they think they have. We'll just say that. And anybody can look into that and research it as much as they want. You have privileges. You don't have rights under the current structure. So get that straight. Understand that. I think that people stressing that they have their First Amendment rights or privileges, depending on how you look at it, you should be able to say whatever the hell you want and offend anyone that you want, and your perspective is your perspective. And that's ultimately what the original republic protects, is the one person, the one individual who doesn't want to do what everybody else is doing and can protect themselves from the masses and all the bullshit. So I think that Strickland, whether you agree with him or not, has every right to say what he's saying, whether you're offended, whether you're crying, whether you're, oh my God, it's horrible. It really doesn't matter. Your feelings don't matter. That anybody can say anything they want about me. They can say anything they want that I might disagree with, and they can say it in a very offensive way. And I don't give a shit, right? I really don't give a shit. So that's what I think.
One last question on the White House, then we'll move on to Conor McGregor, which we've also talked to death, but the people love it. What are your honest thoughts on the UFC White House? Are you stirred with patriotism, or are you just hoping for some good fights, but you see through the bullshit? What are your honest thoughts on UFC White House? This spectacle
I
we have laid before us.
again, we're in the middle of the hyperspeed Simpsons episode that is America today, and it is what it is. It is bread and circuses, but hey, have at it because it's on full blast, dude. It's idiocracy on nukes, and it. Look, I whose idea it was, and we're going to do this on the White House lawn, and sports belong in the arena, the sports arena. Let's keep all the other stuff, but not again. The corporation of the United States is idiocracy times a million. So by all means, let's have a UFC card on the White House lawn and make a fucking mockery of the entire thing.
The clip that was wonderful. That was wonderful. All right, you want to talk about another one?
I love the sport. I love the sport. Awesome. Donald Trump saved the sport. He was a big part of saving the sport. So conversely, look, having a show, great names on the card, all of that. But I just prefer to separate the sports arena and the other stuff. That's the way I look at it. But the bread and circuses must go on.
They must go on, and circuses tend to invite more circuses. I almost said something bad there, but they tend to invite more circuses. I know the great, revered Reverend Al Sharpton said yesterday that this is basically Trump making slaves fight for him like they did in the old days. And so I look at the card, and we have a Spaniard fighting a white boy from Colorado. We have a Frenchman fighting a Brazilian. And we have a rainbowed-haired white hick from Montana fighting a Muslim from Canada. So I'm not sure how we get that analysis, Reverend Al Sharpton, but the circus will breed more circuses, I think is what I'm seeing here.
Well, and you know what I'm looking forward to, actually, is I think there should be a camera crew there covering Strickland outside of the White House lawn, outside the fence, with his bullhorn, talking about freedom of speech in America. That's why I would go. I'm not going to be there, of course, but if I were to go, I think it would be just to hang out with Strickland and enjoy that spectacle.
That would be a live stream. That would be a live stream, buddy. And I'm sure Strickland wouldn't accuse any of these politicians of any salacious, horrific crimes either while he's on that megaphone.
Right.
But
right.
Oh, this is a good show. I can already tell, brother. It's always a pleasure to talk to you every week. Well, Pat, let's move on to another topic you just love talking about, which is Conor McGregor. And I think that you feel like a lot of us UFC fans. Obviously, you're so much more than a fan. You're in the freaking UFC Hall of Fame, but you feel like a lot of us. You're tired of the football getting yanked away, and you're tired of dancing like a little puppet for Conor. And he's back. Well, is he back? If he even is back, do we care? I think he's going to fight Max. I don't think the UFC would have booked this to just have it canceled again, but I think Max destroys him about minus 400. This is a betting show, so he's about minus 400 now. I think that's manna from the heavens. I think that's a gift from God. I think he should be closer to minus 1,000. I will take him to finish, even though Max isn't known as a power puncher. There's no way that Cocaine Connor can stay in there for such a high-volume guy for 25 minutes. And we've never seen Connor get absolutely slept. Khabib choked him out when he got tired. Nate Diaz choked him out when he got tired. And then his ankle broke against Poirier, and even when Poirier knocked him out cold, that was more of an accumulation of punches. I can't wait to bet Max Holloway in a month. I think that it's a gift from the gods. What are your thoughts on the comeback, and do you think it's an easy of a bet as I do?
Well, I think it all depends, of course, on what Conor McGregor shows up. If he has put himself back together and somehow has become hungry after the $100 million payday against Mayweather, it totally remains to be seen. I don't know if it's possible. And I don't know what kind of shape his body's in after the enjoyment of $100 million, allows you to go on, the sprees and whatever else, I hope he comes out the best Conor McGregor possible. I would love to see a great fight. I'd love to see an exciting fight. And I hope that Conor, recaptures his health and is able to get back in the swing of things. Honestly, it's not, I've never disliked Conor. I've got a lot of respect for a guy that can come in, not from a wrestling country, from Ireland, and do the things that he's done in a sport that has obviously a dominance of wrestlers in it. So he's done a great job and is a legend, rightfully so. I think I'm excited for Max as well, because Max is finally going to get a really big payday in that fight by going against Conor, and good for him, so that he can, retire and have a lot of money in the bank and take care of himself and whoever else he loves, right? So it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, anything else new in the news you want to talk about?
I was just going to say maybe one last thing. When you look down at the roster of UFC legends and stars today, who else can headline a pay-per-view, a huge pay-per-view, and it not be a title fight? That's got to be a pretty short list. Are we talking Fedor, Conor, a couple other guys who can not have a belt on the line, but sell out the house, make a pay-per-view huge?
Yeah, I mean, John Jones, of course, could do it, if it weren't a title. There's a few other guys that could probably do it, but yeah, Connor's one of the few, certainly. So that's,
Yes.
That's a good observation on your part. So, Bryce Mitchell, real quick, I want to go back and rewind. Bryce Mitchell, has he jumped on the Strickland bandwagon? It looks like he's supporting what Strickland's saying.
Patriot brothers back, and he's saying he won't be there either. This thing's kind of, but do they care? I don't know. Nothing seems real anymore, and I don't know what to believe. And I'm getting more black pilled every day. So
yeah. Well, and I mean, I was working at ESPN when Disney purchased ESPN, and I can tell you that the feeling within the ESPN offices was, this is not good for sports in general. The purchase of ESPN, and it proved to not be a great situation, to be honest with you. The programming at ESPN changed a lot. The hosts of the shows changed a lot, from people who were true experts to like college kids in fucking cardigan sweaters and stuff. Literally, that's how it ended up looking, and it was a clown show in a lot of ways. I think they've tried to rebuild that and get some respect back in some of the ways, because it backfired in many ways. A lot of people canceled their ESPN subscriptions and all kinds of stuff. I mean, a lot of people. So it cost a lot of money. So, but all this chaos and the political stuff being intertwined and all the other bullshit. It's like when they boycott the Olympics type stuff for political reasons. That's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Yeah. So, all right, Let's move on to this week's card. Pretty exciting. I think, the main event is going to be very exciting. I think the co-main event is going to be really good. And you've got some other really good names on here, some pretty tough people. But there is some very questionable matchups and athletes that got their start with very, very low numbers in their careers. Again, kind of stacking up the bottom end of this thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see how you look at these fights and how you pick the winners and go from there. But Ketlin Souza against Ariana Carnelosi, they're both 3-3 in the UFC. They have a decent amount of experience. Like these girls have built pretty decent resumes. They belong there. But tell me how you see these 115-pounders stacking up with each other.
Yeah, not the most exciting, blood-pumping way to kick off the card here at the Apex. It's an interesting card, Pat. You look at the main card. Oh, buddy, we got some names on here. Bilal Muhammad, Brendan Allen, Edmund Shabazian, Tom Nolan. Speaking of Bryce Mitchell, there he is, Junior Tafa, but we have to wade through some unknowns to get to what's a pretty damn good main card, and
Right.
that's to be expected at the Apex. There's going to be a lot of not so great records that'll make Militech want to pull his hair out, and by not great records, I mean 3-1, stuff like that. So we're going to wade through that, and then we're going to get to some fun fights. So kicking it off with Ketlin Souza, I mean, this is a story we've told several times on MMA Mobsters. This is decent line movement for a female fighter, which is something that is probably automatically going to be a 1-unit bet for me. Line movement's good for any UFC fighter, but more so for the men. That's just what the numbers tell us. I think Ketlin Souza can cruise here. Arlena Carnellosi is kind of everything Ketlin Souza does, but just not as good at it, whether you look at striking or certainly the wrestling, grappling aspect of it. I think Ketlin Souza, especially if she can get Carnellosi down, should dominate here, should even hold her own on the feet. So give me 1 unit on Ketlin Souza to kick off the card here.
That's interesting. So the numbers, tell me how the numbers have shifted for these two,
Sure.
where Souza started out and where she's at now.
Minus 265 to minus 330. So we're seeing about 70 points of line movement in the right direction for Ketlin.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I look at them, they both have some decent numbers in terms of knockouts. Neither one's been finished a lot standing up, one once and the other twice. They're both 2-2 submission wise on the ground. They both have decent records overall, batting 500, both of them in the UFC, 3-2 in their last 5 fights. Souza, where I think the differentiator has had a much tougher road to get to the record she's at, has definitely fought much tougher quality opponents. So I lean with you on Souza as well in that fight. So we agree, buddy. All right.
Ketlin Souza has fought multiple world champions in the UFC. Carnellosi is not.
Yeah, right. That's the point. All right, so Chavez versus Dubin. One is 1-0. Chavez is 1-0 in the Contender-Pretender series. And Dubin 0-1 in the UFC. Their overall records at 6-1, 6-0. Dude, I'm going to let you go ahead and break this fight down and see if you bring up something I'm going to bring up. I'm not going to open my trap yet, but I'll let you go ahead.
No, I would like us to officially rebrand it the Pretender Series. I think that can be an MMA Mobster special. So, yeah, Chavez, we're seeing the opposite, the polar inverse of the previous fight we just talked about. It is a female fight. The prohibitive favorite is going in the wrong direction. Not enough to set off, huge run to the bank, take out all your money and bet on her kind of line movement. But she's moved about 50 points in the wrong direction. Pat Militech, Chavez opened up at about minus 400. She's minus 350 now on Betway. So we're seeing a FanDuel minus 430. She's now minus 370. She's kind of stayed stationary on the other books, but I'm not wanting to bet her like I am Ketlin Souza. This is probably a pass for me. If anything, I'll take a little shot on the underdog.
Yeah, okay, so this is what I'm going to bring up. So if I'm doing difficulty of schedule, almost all the opponents' combined records of Chavez are 0-9. And one athlete was, I think, 6-1. But everybody else had never won a single fight, 0-0 or 0-something. And so you think, okay, she's not going to win. She's just not going to win. And then you look at Dubin, and most of her opponents were 0-0, bro. 0-0.
Did they lose one of the fights since they fought her, maybe?
No, I'm not here to criticize the UFC, but I have to say to the matchmakers, Mick and I have to ask, like, how are you even remotely able to look at these people and think, they're definitely UFC quality. That at some point you got to draw the line. Like is it just who you know to get into the UFC now?
Yep.
Is that you can, like, you have a pulse and you can you have a pulse and you can fog a mirror,
Yeah.
and you know somebody and you're in type stuff.
Yeah.
I just, at some point, I think the UFC is doing themselves a disservice by having this low level of experience and quality of athletes on the shows. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, right? There's got to be some sort of differentiator. You've got to be able to differentiate yourself from the regional shows and the local shows. So anyway, enough of my ranting. I'll agree with you that Chavez is probably going to win this, but honestly, quality of opponents, it's like they both might actually lose.
And
I'm just saying.
Let's stay on this for a minute more. What do you think this says about the state of women's MMA? Because I'm a little concerned about it.
I don't think it says anything about the state of women's MMA. I think it just says that the UFC wants to control the sport from again the cradle to grave, and is that spreading themselves out too thin? Is that diluting the product? Is it being able to walk around and say, yeah, I'm in the UFC, or I won a UFC title, or any of those things, kind of loses some of its luster when you've got people that still really should be fighting in local shows.
Yeah.
They don't belong on worldwide TV. I'm not disparaging these athletes. I'm just saying, get to a point where you're 15-2 or whatever, get some wins, and the people that are handling these athletes, they can dislike me for saying this, but they're not doing these kids any favors, throwing them into it's, and I'm going to get to this point of this happening as well with Chandler and Kushera, the way that their careers were handled and blew their shit up too. And I'll get to that. That's in 2 more fights, but so, all right, let's move on to Jordan Levitt and Joanderson Brito. Both are 6-3 in the UFC. I think it's a good matchup. I think that a bit of a toss-up in my humble opinion, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you have to love Brito here. Leavitt is a wrestler who is never going to evolve into really anything of a striker, and I think he almost knows that, and so I don't understand why Brito isn't a bigger favorite here. We just saw Leavitt get knocked out really bad, but then we saw him come right back in his fight, and it seems to be when Leavitt almost likes playing with the betters. When everyone loves him, he loses. When everyone thinks he doesn't have a chance in hell, he comes out and looks great. He completely wrestle-fucked his opponent in their last fight and held down a very powerful striker. So the issue is, can he do that against Brito? I don't think so. Brito has shown incredible power and some pretty damn good wrestling. So I think he has the takedown defense to keep Jordan Leavitt off of him. Leavitt has one path to victory. Brito knows it. You know it. I know it. His coaches know it. I think Brito looks very good here and might be a steal at -170, but Leavitt always has that smothering wrestling in the back of his pocket. I just don't think he can execute it against a fighter of Brito's level. What do you think?
Well, and I think Brito has proven that he's good on the ground. He might not be able to stop Leavitt's takedowns completely or anything, but he's proven that he's quality on the ground. He's got 8 sub victories and only lost once on the ground, where Brito's certainly got a lot more wins standing up. So preferably, I'm sure Brito wants to keep this standing. Both these guys are 3-2 in their last 5, and both have had pretty solid opponents along the way. So if it stays standing, Brito, if Leavitt can control him, that's like saying, well, if the wind blows out of the south, my hair's going to go this way, and if it blows out, it is what it is. But I don't lean heavily towards either one. I give a slight edge to Brito in this fight. So we do somewhat agree.
We do, and I know you love it when I challenge you a little bit, buddy. I will come back with that and say that, no, I don't think it's super obvious for you to say something like, well, if Brito can stay off his back, he'll win the fight. It's not always that way. What if I told you that Magomed Ankalaev would fight Alex Pereira for 25 minutes and Alex Pereira would have 1 takedown and Magomed would have 0? Who wins that fight? Alex Pereira all day, right? Nope. Magomed Ankalaev won a 25-minute fight, didn't take Pereira down once. So it's not always as easy as it sounds, right?
Yeah, well, and I don't know what was going on with Pereira in that
He
fight,
was
and I've
hurt,
also
but
seen,
yeah.
we've also seen Pereira on the ground look like a white belt,
Hmm.
and just get manhandled on the ground by certain athletes, and he's so ungodly. I don't know. That was weird in that fight. I remember that fight distinctly, where he just wouldn't pull the trigger. It was like he was petrified of getting taken down, and
Of the
just
wrestling, yes.
wouldn't commit on the striking and stuff like that. And so
Yep.
I think he learned, obviously, from that bad experience going into their next matchup, and put him away. But so okay, all right, moving on to
Put him away in
Silva.
about 2 minutes, Pat. He said, forget this being timid thing. I'm just going to knock you out and get it over with. That was, yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about learning
yeah,
from your mistakes. Yeah.
lowered the boom on him. Oh, so this is the fight that I wanted to talk about. The earlier topic that we were speaking about, Chandler versus Koshiera, Priscilla and Chelsea. When you look at Chelsea, she's the perfect example of being chewed up and spit out, being thrown to the wolves. And then you look at Koshiera, if you look at her fights and her opponents, like I think her first real fight in the UFC, because one was canceled, the first real fight in the UFC was her against Valentina Shevchenko.
She got murdered.
Yeah,
Murdered.
yeah. Well, and the thing is, dude, um, then she lost, I think, another fight, and then once, she won some fights, but like she got thrown to the wolves. Both of these girls have competed against people far above their level, and when it went against, I mean, I don't know, whoever's managing these kids again are really doing some disservice. Like, who's going to say, oh, her first fight in the UFC, she gets the shot at Valentina Shevchenko? Yeah, let's do that. That was a package deal. Had to be a package deal where it was like, oh, we're going to put these 4 fights in. We're going to give you these athletes at this price. And Priscilla, yeah, she'll get sacrificed by Valentina, whatever that
And you
looks
know
like.
what? And you know what it is, Pat? It's multiple layers of either corruption or ineptitude or both. Because not only was this horrific fight set up about 7 or 8 years ago, Mario Yamasaki was the referee for that fight, and he let Valentina absolutely pound on Cachoeira for about 2 more rounds than he should have. Mario Yamasaki never refed in the UFC again after that fight because they were legitimately concerned that he almost got Cachoeira killed, and the UFC did not want that kind of bad publicity. So I don't mean to be all gloom and doom, but it is concerning when multiple layers of corruption bleed into other layers of corruption. So not only do you have a fight that should have never happened, you have a referee that shouldn't have been reffing, and we almost had a body on our hands. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, well, and I wouldn't say, we're not going to go as far as to say it's necessarily corruption, but a lot of inept people involved in, the total sum of a kid getting, wrecked, basically is how that goes down. All right. So Chandler Koshiera, who do you see winning this fight? I'm not going to say yet, but
Yeah, well,
both have competed against people far above their level. So
yeah, well, when we look at a path to victory, it couldn't possibly be more clear for Chelsea Chandler. She is a wrestler. She is a wrestler. She is a wrestler. You talk about a bad first fight in the UFC. We didn't even talk about Chelsea Chandler. She became a meme. She was fighting a much superior fighter. I will remember her name in a second. She got cracked once in the head and literally ran away like a cartoon and started running around the cage, Norma Dumont, to try to run away from Norma Dumont. And the poor girl became a meme and everyone made fun of her. And credit to her for coming back and winning some fights. She wins fights, Pat, when she wrestles, when she can dominate with her wrestling. Cachoeira can thump. God bless her for coming back from a horrific first fight. Many women would have never touched MMA gloves again after Valentina destroying them like that. Good on her. She came back. She shows that she can pop. That's about all that she can do. Struggles a lot getting taken down, but she can pop. So Chelsea Chandler, you come in, throw a few feints, boom, you're on the wrestling. Second round, boom, you're on the wrestling. You hold her down, you look for a submission. If the submission never comes, you just hold her down. So that's a great path to victory. Cachoeira has shown she can be taken down. So I think minus 120 for Chelsea Chandler, sign me up. Unless Cachoeira lands a bomb or Chelsea Chandler comes out with the worst game plan of all time, this is money in the bank, right?
Yeah, Cachoeira is 0-4 on the ground. Has obviously shown glaring weaknesses in that area. But she does have 8 knockouts. So, if Chandler does not decide to wrestle, she may be in trouble. So I am going with Cachoeira, though. So I'll lean with you on that one. We're in agreement. This is awesome. With all love in the neighborhood here, bud.
Let's keep it going.
All right, Silva versus Shiraz. Silva 5-5, betting 500, 3-2 for Shiraz in the UFC. Mid-level competition for Shiraz. Pretty tough competition from my viewpoint against Silva on her path through this. Throw it at me. I mean, the numbers, I'm guessing I'm leaning, I'm not going to say who I'm leaning towards, but the numbers I would guess are probably fairly even on these two.
Good on you, Pat. They're a little bit too even for my liking.
Okay.
So we have, sorry, I just had it pulled up. I will pull it back up here. Bruno Silva is minus 140, and he's staying there. This is one of those fights where, like you, I look at it, I'm like, ooh, close matchup. I'd like the line to move one way or the other, and I can get input from every other professional sports bettor of the UFC in the world which way I'm going. It's not doing that, which means that either people are betting both sides or just no one wants to bet it. And I think it's probably the latter. Bettors are flocking to the main card, bigger names, more obvious situations. And so Bruno Silva has just stayed there. And I don't know, Shiraz kind of let us down in his last fight. I think that we both picked him and he just didn't look like himself. Does that mean that he sucks all of a sudden? No. So I think if Shiraz bounces back from whatever ailed him a few months ago, he wins this fight. I'm going to lean Bruno Silva as the minus 140 favorite, but I'm not super excited about it.
Okay, I'm glad you're not super excited about it because I'm leaning a little bit towards Edgar in this one.
All right.
Just a little bit. The never been finished standing up, 8 sub wins. The decisions is where Shiraz hasn't done well, but he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. I lean just barely towards the underdog on this one, so that's where we're at on that. We'll move on to McGee versus Yanis.
And you know what, Pat? I'm going to join you on that Edgar Shiraz train. It's just a lean, but I'm looking at a sports book that I really respect in Pinnacle. I have to pull up a separate tab for that because the lines weren't doing anything. On Pinnacle, the line has actually crapped a good bit in Shiraz's direction. He's plus 100. That's all I needed to see. I think Shiraz bounces back. I will join you on that train.
Okay, cool. All right, McGee versus Yanis. Marcus McGee and John Yanis, number 12 in the world versus number 67. Yanis 1-1 in the UFC. McGee doing, pretty well at 4-1, 10-2 overall. Undefeated, never been finished standing up, either one of them. And, I know that Yanis maybe doesn't have the best ground game as well, but not great competition for Yanis coming through. Kind of middle of the road competition, a little tougher for McGee. I know where I'm leaning. What are the numbers saying on this fight?
Yeah, this brings back a little bit good memories from the old MMA Mobsters days there in Davenport, Iowa, in Holstein's apartment. I remember Marcus McGee was just breaking onto the scene, and you're like, ooh, I like this kid. And he came in, he looked great, won his first 4 fights, I believe, dominantly, and then they gave him Peter Yan. And there are levels to this game, and Yan knocked him down a couple pegs. But Marcus McGee's legit, man. He's still kind of finding his way in the UFC, and who knows, maybe he does beat Peter Yan someday. I like him against Giannis here. I think he's levels above Giannis. And so we looked at his line on FanDuel, open at minus 400. It's minus 470 now. So, I think getting your butt kicked by Peter Yan for 25 minutes, there's no shame in that. And I think that Marcus McGee is still certainly a better than average fighter. And I think that he deserves the big price tag. I think he probably comes through there at minus 450, minus 470, something like that.
All right, I agree with you on the outcome of that one. Okay, going on to Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. I've always liked Matt Schnell. I called some of his fights when he was younger in the LFA. He's batting less than 500 in the UFC, but he was a really tough kid. And I look at his competition through his career. He's fought a lot of hammers as well. And at the same time, Costa, kind of decent competition. Pretty tough, but not quite as, maybe not as tough as Schnell has. What say you on this matchup? Do you think Schnell is going to make any kind of comeback? Is he capable at this point?
Well, someone with a lot of money thinks he's capable of that, Militech. This line movement is fascinating, buddy. Alejandro Costa opens up at minus 900 on FanDuel. He's been bet down to minus 550. That's almost cut his line in half. He's still a prohibitive favorite. Minus 550 is nothing to sneeze at, but
Sure.
starting out at minus 900, someone or some ones with a good amount of money believe that Matt Schnell is at least worth a dart throw. And I would say that minus 900 was pretty disrespectful to Matt Schnell. Alejandro Costa's been an average fighter. He hasn't shown us anything that deserves that kind of price tag, especially against a guy who has never really been able to take a punch in Matt Schnell, but is very talented, good striking, good jiu-jitsu. He's tough, and he doesn't choose to get knocked out. Anytime he has the choice to stay in the fight, he stays in the fight. And he's had some incredible comebacks. It's just he's never been able to take a solid punch on the chin. So, I mean, I think that Schnell is a very worthy underdog here and at least deserves a few bucks of your hard-earned money thrown at him because I think he certainly has a shot to win. And the odds are still not where they should be. I think it should maybe be Costa minus 250, and he's still out there at minus 550. So value on the veteran Matt Schnell here.
Oh, interesting. Because I'm thinking if the numbers should be different. Yeah. No, I get it. Fuck.
I think we've just seen Matt Schnell get beat a lot lately because that's because he's fighting the best of the best. He's getting lamped by Steve Erceg. Yeah, I mean Steve Erceg lamps most of the division. It's the when you talk about strength of schedule, it's way better for Schnell than it is for Costa. But that also means Schnell's taken a lot of punishments from some very good fighters. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
So you're leaning a little bit towards Schnell, are you?
I can't bet Costa. Anytime your odds get cut in half, I will not bet you. I cannot do it. I mean, maybe if your line drops from minus 400 to minus 300, I'm like, you know what? I still believe in you. I cannot, in good conscience, bet a guy who's gone from minus 900 to minus 500, basically. So I'm going to sprinkle a few bucks on Matt Schnell and enjoy the ride. No way I'm touching Costa at that price. No way. Can't do it.
Okay. Well, the outcome is, for me, is Costa has enough knockout victories and Schnell has enough knockout losses. And on top of that, Costa's good enough on the ground. He's got 6 sub-wins and no losses on the ground, while Schnell's got 4 losses on the ground. Schnell's very good on the ground. I'm not saying he's not good on the ground, but that makes me, all of this stuff combined makes me lean towards Costa winning the fight at least. So maybe not a good bet because of the numbers, but ultimately I think he'll win. So, all right. Let's go on to Barianowski and Tafa. This fight, Tafa, he's not done great in the UFC. 3-5, 7-5 overall. Why did they bring him into the UFC that early in his career? Well, apparently a population of 8 billion people on the planet, there's not enough fucking heavyweights that can fight. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how it's possible, to be honest with you. But somehow they figured this out. The human population has figured out that big people aren't talented athletically and can't fight great or something, whatever that is. But
and
I think
it's not like it was 20 years ago when they were all over in Pride. It's like, well, all the good heavyweights are in Pride. You guys bought Pride. You guys bought Strikeforce. You bought everyone, and you still can't find good heavyweights. Unreal.
I mean, if I were to make a bundle of money coaching, I would just start a camp for heavyweights. And I would run the planet. I would literally run the planet.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Because I'd get their big asses in shape, and I'd teach them how to fight, and we would literally rule the world. We would rule the world. So that's what I'm saying. So, yeah. Anyway, who are you leaning towards? I have a feeling I know who you're leaning towards in this matchup, but go ahead.
Yeah, I like Baranowski, man. He's certainly shown that he is a baner, and I think that's really the only way that Tafa has a chance in hell here, is if Baranowski plays Rock'em Sock'em Robots and puts aggressiveness in front of safety and lets Tafa touch his chin, because Tafa can thump, but him and his
Sure.
brother are kind of the same. They're both overweight Samoans. They're in the Tai Tuivasa build, just not as good. And everyone loves when they get a big knockout and the fat Samoan guy dances around and dances for the people. But anytime they get a decent fighter who's in good shape and who can pop, they're going to get hurt. And so Baranowski can win in a variety of ways. He can use his superior technicality and striking to put him on his butt in the first round, or he can let Tafa tucker himself out and then find in the second round that finish will come much easier. Baranowski cruises 18 different ways here. He's probably my biggest bet of the fight, and the only thing stopping him is him, I guess, not respecting Tafa's power, because I would even be fine with him kind of playing with his food a little bit and getting Tafa into the second round. He's got to tire out. I'm going to be pretty upset if Baranowski blows this for me. So, yeah.
How many unit bet is Baranowski?
3 unit. 3 unit. He's going to be my biggest bet of the cards.
That's big for you. Yeah, that's pretty substantial. So, okay, you heard it. You heard it here, folks. 3 unit bet on Baranowski. All right, going on to Bryce Mitchell and Santiago Luna. Luna's 2-0 in the UFC. Bryce Mitchell's done pretty freaking well, 9-3 in the UFC, going up against a kid that's undefeated. Luna's quality of opponents have been meh, not very great, not very good, untested ultimately. So, what say you, Oracle?
Yeah, so before Bryce Mitchell joined Sean Strickland on the UFC lawn with his megaphone protesting the event, he's got a fight here in Vegas to take care of first. Yes, I'm a little surprised the line hasn't blown out more for Bryce Mitchell, but Luna's decent, and I think we've just kind of seen that the book on Mr. Bryce Mitchell is, if he can get you down and keep you down, he's going to win. If he can't, you're going to hurt him. So we saw Josh Emmett do that. We saw Gene Silva do that. Can Santiago Luna do that? I don't know. Santiago Luna still has a lot of untapped potential. Bryce Mitchell's strength of schedule certainly has him beat, but a lot of that was getting thumped by really good fighters. Ilia Topuria obviously finished him very badly. So we've seen Bryce Mitchell dispatch people who are below him in MMA. I think he takes care of Luna, but I'm a little worried the line movement isn't blowing out in Bryce Mitchell's direction. He opened at minus 140. He's still minus 140, essentially. So maybe when I watch tape on Luna, he doesn't blow me away, but better see something in Luna, because I'm surprised Bryce Mitchell isn't getting bet to the moon here.
Interesting. Okay, I'll lean a little bit with you on Mitchell to pull this out, so remains to be seen, but I think it's going to be fun. Seeing what Bryce can do here. All right, so going on to Ziam and Nolan. 4-1 in the UFC, 8-2 for Ziam, 10-1 overall, 18-4. I think both have decent striking. I think Ziam might be a little bit better on the ground, or a little more experienced on the ground anyway. But tell me how these two break down for you.
Yeah, this is good matchmaking by the UFC here. These are two prospects who struggled to find their footing early. Both got absolutely wrecked in their UFC debuts, and credit to the strength of the fighter spirit, man. They have come back and actually looked pretty damn good. So everyone had all this faith in them. Then everyone abandons them when they get flatlined in their debut, and they somehow reach down and have become pretty good fighters here. So I'm a little surprised that Ziam is a big favorite here, man. I would have put this at maybe minus 110 for both. I mean, these are two very similar guys, similar skill sets. I'd say that Nolan has a little more power and Ziam has a little more ground game, but they can pretty much do it all, at least capably. Why is Fares Ziam opening up at minus 280 and he's been steamed out to minus 330? Not huge line movement, but the bettors seem to believe in Ziam more than Nolan, so I'm going to follow them. But this Nolan kid can crack, man. He's a little bit chinny. Even when he wins, he usually gets hurt badly and has to recover. Ziam is a little more well-rounded, very good on the ground, very capable standing. I just don't know if he deserves to be a minus 330 favorite, but Ziam will be my pick, and I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I agree with you on Ziam. He's got 6 KOs, no losses standing up, and on top of that, yeah, he's got 5 finishes on the ground, and his decision win-loss ratio is at 7-1. So I lean towards Ziam as well with you on that one, sir. All right, co-main event time. Number 5 in the world, Brendan Allen, guy that I called some of his fights in the LFA days, and Edmund
LFA champion,
Shabazian.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he eventually did win the LFA title. Some very exciting fights. I mean, he was always in some wars. But Edmund Shabazian, number 22 in the world, going up against Brendan Allen, number 5. Brendan Allen at 14-4 in the UFC. Dude, he's put in some work and done very well for himself. And has recently started talking about, he'll take on, anybody. He'll take on the champ after this fight. Getting past Shabazian. I don't know. Does he get past Shabazian in your book? Does he pull it off, buddy?
How is this not the most free money of all time? I mean, a lot of respect for Edmund Shabazian, but he's knockout in the first 3 minutes, or he loses the fight. He's a great kid by all aspects, but just hasn't developed a gas tank for whatever reason. He literally hasn't won a fight that's gone past the first round in the UFC, from my knowledge. So, and what does he struggle with? Elite striking, some of the best striking in the division for about the first 3 minutes, and then he struggles and cannot stop takedowns. This is tailor-made from Brendan Allen. Get it into the second round, and the takedowns that are your bread and butter and you love so much. Brendan Allen started out as a wrestler, developed really good striking, but will always be a wrestler at heart. It's like a baby's first steps or riding a bike. That's what you're going to go back to, especially when you get cracked in the head and you're fighting for your life. You're going to go back to your wrestling. So, I mean, as long as Brendan Allen can stay away from that kill shot in the first 3 minutes, and the best way to stay away from that kill shot, put him on his butt, hold him down, put your elbow in his face, put your knee in his belly. I don't understand this line, Pat, and maybe people were looking forward to the UFC White House and no one's betting this card, because this is about the third time there's a line that I'm like, why isn't this soaring in this direction instead of just staying stale? So Brendan Allen minus 180 sure feels like free money to me, Pat. Hey, you got to try to talk me out of it or what?
Well, I'll just say this, that Shabazian has 13 KO wins, 3 losses. The glaring problem that he has is he's 1-1 on the ground, and Brendan Allen has, a baker's dozen of submissions. He's 14-1 on the ground. So he's absolutely going to dominate Shabazian on the ground when he gets him there. Minus Allen, and look, Allen has earlier in his career, he's learned, I think, where he would go out and get in absolute wars with people deliberately, just through youth, lack of experience, but he's dialed that in pretty well, and he is very good on the ground. So I think Allen potentially gets this fight over with, certainly before the end of the fight via submission. So what's the numbers if I pick Allen by submission?
Let me look at it right here. So you want Allen by
sub.
Allen by sub is, I'm trying to pull it up here. Allen by sub is plus 240. Plus 210. Plus 240.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. For anybody out there that looks at those numbers and makes an observation of the glaring weakness of Shabazian on the ground, maybe, just maybe, they might take that bet for the hell of it.
And also glaring weakness when it comes to the clock. And I think maybe Lee can pull this up for us. But
and the lungs.
Yeah, Edmund Shabazian, anytime a UFC fight has gone into the second round, he has lost. He either knocks you out brutally in the first round or he loses. And I'm pretty sure that's 100% correct. So you want to talk about a live betting opportunity, if this does get into the second round, hammer Allen, because Shabazian does not win.
What's the numbers on Shabazian? What's the numbers on Shabazian winning by KO in the first round?
Maybe Lee can look, but I will certainly look too. Shabazz first round finish. Shabazz wins in the first round.
Via KO. Has to be KO.
Shabazz wins Lee, are you seeing it? Plus 550. Plus 550 for Shabazian to win by knockout in the first round.
Okay, okay, all right, okay, yeah.
You
So
like it?
that's well, everything you're informing everyone of is it's either Shabazian by KO in the first round or he's going to get submitted.
Or just get laid on for that concerns me a little bit. That's what Jack Hermanson and others have done to him is weather the storm, lose the first round, and then just hold him down for rounds 2 and 3, not necessarily finish him. That would sort of be another path to victory that has worked against Shabazian in the past.
Yeah, and I think well, and also when I look at Brendan Allen's victories, um, and the way that he wins out of 26 victories, he's got 14 by submission. So the odds are, he likes to take that route, certainly.
Yes.
So leaning
I
that
like that
way.
bet. Yeah, Allen is less likely to take the easy victory and just lay on you. He's going to be hunting for the finish the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. I've got Brendan Allen by submission in that matchup. All right, moving on to Bilal Muhammad against Gabriel Bonfim. Bonfim, 19-1, 6-1 in the UFC. Tough guy, not a blazing, scorching quality of opponents that he's faced overall in his career, where Bilal Muhammad has faced, kind of a murderer's row quality of opponents. I want to ask you. I want to ask you because when I look at Bilal Muhammad and I watch him fight, the guy's 15-5 in the UFC. He's done incredibly well, 24-5 overall. Uh, Dude, he's got 18 decisions. He's won 18 fights by decision, only lost 4, only has 1 submission win, has 5 KOs total in, almost 30 fights. Dude, the guy's getting it done. He's figuring it out, but he's winning literally almost everything by decision. I just watch him fight and he's so awkward. Like people just can't dial in his timing. They can't figure him out. Like they just get thrown off rhythmically somehow. Is that how you've observed him when he fights?
Yeah, he gets some hate because he's not out there finishing cats every fight. It's been said, who needs sleeping pills? Well, you can just put on a Bilal Muhammad fight. But he's shown, I think, to the more seasoned, more intelligent MMA fan, he's very talented, and he's shown good striking just because he can't put you out necessarily with one shot, but very technical striking. And obviously, the wrestling is all world. He dominated Leon Edwards with that wrestling. He dominated Vicente Luque with that wrestling. He dominated Gilbert Burns, more so with the striking, but the wrestling too. Yeah, he's not finishing guys, but he's getting that W in the W column, and there's something to be said for that against
Well, in
the
his
best
endurance,
competition in the world.
dude, he's had 22 decision fight, go to decision, which says, he's got the endurance for days, obviously,
Yeah.
which says a lot about his work ethic and everything else. But I don't know. Against Bonfim, what do you think? Is this his coming out party against Bilal Muhammad?
Yeah, this reminds me of a few fights we've had recently, Pat. Most recently, probably the Aljamain Sterling Yusuf Zalal fight, where everyone was on the Yusuf Zalal train, and he had his moments, but Aljamain showed that there's levels, and he dominated. And then we had this with the Arnold Allen, Melchizel Costa fight. Costa had been on a heater, and Allen promptly put him in his place. I think we see the same thing here. I don't know why the movement is going in Bonfim's direction, but as I do occasionally, I'm going to say no to the line movement. I'm going to say I disagree with the line movement. Bilal Muhammad opened up at minus 140. He's all the way down to minus 110. This is about to be an underdog flip to a favorite situation that right now they are dead even. They are either minus 110 or minus 15 on every sports book. I'm still believing in Bilal Muhammad here, man. Like you just said, he has some of the best cardio in the UFC. Bonfim has shown cardio issues. And so I think the old wily veteran gets it done here. I think the fact that it's 5 rounds helps him greatly. He can drop a round or two against Bonfim and still win the fight in those later rounds. I do like fight goes to decision because every Bilal Muhammad fight basically in history goes to decision. So I
Right.
do like that. And so, yeah, give me Bilal Muhammad to win and give me fight goes to decision.
Very interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to go with just slightly with Bonfim. I think Bonfim, this is his breakthrough moment. It's a big deal here. And beating Bilal Muhammad, I think he's a good enough athlete to do it. God knows I've said that about a lot of guys going up against Bilal Muhammad. I don't know. I have a feeling. I have a feeling Bonfim is going to edge him in this one just a little bit. And he's going to pull it out. He may submit it. He may actually pull off a submission in this fight. So I lean a little bit toward Bonfim. Anybody out there picking Bilal Muhammad or what's that? Our producer asked. I'm picking him to win in the 4th round by submission.
Okay.
And so that's my pick. And you're picking a decision, Bilal Muhammad by decision. So anybody out there that wants to win Cell Saviors or Diamine Clothing, by all means, let us know your pick, what round, how the win happens, whether it's decision, submission, knockout, and in the correct round, and you'll win some Cell Saviors and Diamine Clothing. We want to give some shit away, so by all means, send it in, let us know. And on top of that, we'll go back to real quick before we close this out is that, and I wanted to point out, Bilal has lost his last 3 fights. He's been on a slide. That's something that made me lean a little bit more towards Bonfim as well. I don't know if that helps you swing over from the dark side or not, Josh.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was 2. So he lost his title to Jack Della Maddalena, and then he lost a close fight to Ian Gary. I think he's lost 2 in a row.
Hold on 1 second. Now I've got to go look.
Because he beats Leon to get the title, and then Jack Della takes his title from him. He takes some time off, loses a close fight
he lost
to Gary.
in wrestling. I forgot. He lost. He got tech falled by David Carr in wrestling. So that was my bad. So David Carr should tech fall him. David Carr is the son of Nate Carr, the great from Iowa State, and David Carr, of course, his son, who's national champ and badass from Iowa State University as well. The cars wreck everybody. So, all right. Yeah. So you're right. He's lost the last 2 fights. But I'm still leaning towards Bonfim. So, all right. And also for everybody out there, make sure that you check out grapplersclash.com. Get in there and become part of the community. Find matches. Be your own manager. Be your own promoter. Go make money. Look, be part of this community because it's going to blow up. As soon as everybody finds out about it, it's going to be huge. But Punchface VIP, Josh, tell everybody about what you're bringing back for all the folks out there.
Yeah, so as talked about a little earlier in the show, and we'll be talking about it more in later episodes, you will get access to all of my bets. If I am betting it, I will put it in the app or chat room, or so that'll be coming to you in the next few days, hopefully in time for UFC Freedom 250, one of the biggest UFC cards ever. So yeah, look for Punchface VIP, resurrecting an old pick selling service and making it bigger and better than ever. So if you enjoy tailing my bets, which you obviously do if you're watching, Punchface VIP will be coming soon.
Yeah, and everybody out there, like, share, and comment on all of our social media stuff and our YouTube videos as well. Please
Instagram.
Share those for everybody out there. All right, so for Joshua Chauvin, the Chauvin one, I'm Pat Milicic, saying so long, good luck, and bet responsibly. And, stay healthy and happy.
Hey. Yeah. Hey. Giving it all. Hey. Yeah. I'm giving it all I could give. Run up and taking my pick. Then bringing it back to the crib. Yeah. You know how I go. We finding the gold, the deeper we dig. So we just keep digging till we finally get it. Like fuck it, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah. I gave you my word, don't break it for no one. You know I'ma keep what I said. Ready for war, I've been deep in the trance. Been jumping since I had them streaks in the bed. Ice in my body, I'm cold under pressure. Recover nervous like I had no heat in the vents. Shooting, I don't have a conscience, too much to accomplish. You know I can't leave it to chance. Yeah, throw it in the bag. Throw some dots, I'm Jackson Dart. I'm out of pocket playing tag. Catch me if you can, empty out the mag. Took the lead, I run the track, and I'm never looking back. Going for the moment, always rolling with the punches. Find a way to see through the ceiling, put above us. Smoke is in the air, keep it heavy in abundance. When the dust settles, let's see who remains.